Your kit requires the addition of bentonite on the first day. Now, if you know a little bit about it, that might seem odd because bentonite is a clearing agent that's normally added to wine after fermentation. But there's a reason for it. When you add bentonite on the first day, it actually helps the yeast to grow faster in the kit. Also, as the wine ferments, the churning action of the fermentation will give the bentonite plenty of work to do as it goes back and forth through the wine. So add it on the first day, just as instructed. Bentonite dissolves very easily and can be simply stirred into 2 liters, which is about a half a gallon, of hot water in the bottom of the primary fermenter. Now, grab your big bag of juice. Most wine kit boxes are marvels of industrial design, with flaps and slots that will allow you to insert the neck of the bag into them, turning the whole thing into an easy pour dispenser. Grab the bag firmly by the neck, carefully pop the cap off the bag. Bag decappers are sold for this purpose, but a bottle opener does an admirable job, or even just a firm kung fu grip. Pour it into the primary fermenter. Try not to splash, because red grape juice stains like crazy, and even white grape juice is pretty sticky. Don't leave any spills behind to attract insects or to breed spoilage organisms. Add 4 liters, or 1 gallon of warm water to the bag to rinse out any remaining juice and add it to the fermenter. Waste not, want not. Top up the fermenter to the 23-liter mark with lukewarm water. Remember, your kit's designed to ferment between 65 and 75 Fahrenheit, 18 to 24 Celsius. If you make your kit up with straight cold tap water, it could be too cool for the yeast to start fermentation. Then you'll be forced to hang around until it warms up enough to pitch the yeast. Stir the juice and water mixture vigorously for a full 30 seconds. This is one area where people tend to fall down. You've got to really stir vigorously. The problem is that the juice and water have wildly different coefficients of viscosity. In normal talk, this means they're a bit like oil and water. They don't want to mix. So you have to get in there and really stir. Otherwise, they could settle out in layers of higher concentration of juice and lower concentration. Now, getting in with a spoon and really being vigorous is good. But if you have trouble with upper body strength or you're simply tired of all that stirring, you can use a drill-mounted stirring whip. They work great. And you don't have to worry if it looks like you're getting a little bit of air into the juice. That actually helps the yeast to ferment more effectively right from the beginning. So get in there, stir really hard. Now, grab your sanitized wine thief and use it to draw a sample of the juice. Put it into the test jar and use your hydrometer to check the specific gravity. Reading a hydrometer is a snap. Just look across the surface of the liquid it's floating in and read the numbers on the lines right at the level of the juice. Whatever you do, don't put the hydrometer in the bucket and try to read it there. You'd have to look down over the lip of the bucket, and that'll give you a false reading. The gravity should read between 1070 and 1090 depending on the wine type. Your instructions will tell you what gravity to expect. Be sure to record this wherever you've put the kit code and type. It's important to take and record this reading. Not only is it the only way you can accurately gauge the progress of fermentation, it's going to tell you your alcohol content when the wine is finished. More on that later. If your kit contains an ingredient pack that needs to be added to the must, oak powder or oak chips or elderflowers, tear open the packages and sprinkle them into the primary fermenter with the must. If your kit has more than one package of each ingredient, be sure to add them all. To keep costs down, sometimes there's only one size of package, such as a 30 gram or 1 ounce package of oak, so more packages are added to the kit rather than making a separate, bigger package. Be sure to stir them under the surface of the liquid, but don't worry if they float to the top a bit. They'll get wine-logged and sink after a day or two. Ensure that the temperature of the juice is within the specified range. That's usually 18 to 24 degrees Celsius, 65 to 75 Fahrenheit. Colder than this, the yeast will be very slow to start and the fermentation may take longer than specified in the instructions. Warmer than this and the yeast might produce some off flavors. If it's too cold or too hot, often simply leaving the must at room temperature for several hours will be sufficient to bring it into range. Whatever you do, don't pitch the yeast until the temperature is correct. Finally, open your package of yeast and sprinkle it onto the surface of the juice. You don't have to stir the yeast in. They know what they're doing. Once the yeast is in place, Cover the primary fermenter and place it in your fermenting area at a temperature of around 18 to 24 degrees Celsius, 65 to 75 Fahrenheit. Now, if your primary fermenter lid has a hole in it for an airlock and bung, be sure to put them in and remember to fill your airlock with water. You should see visible signs of fermentation within 24 to 48 hours. If you don't panic. Instead, grab your hydrometer and check the gravity reading. If it's moved downward at all, things are happening as they should. Wait the specified amount of time in the instructions and get ready for the next step.